Tottenham TV. And this is it, people. This is literally it. Semi-final second leg tomorrow in the Arctic Circle. Bodø away, 3-1 up going into the second leg. And Bodø players, Bodø fans, they're all sitting there quietly, well, not so quietly actually. They're loudly confident going into it.
Brash.
Spurs are coming into their home stadium in the Arctic Circle under very, not usual conditions, let's say, particularly for an English side. And you know what? We just got to go and do the business. That's all it comes down to.
Ready for your flight tomorrow?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Getting the nerves settling in yet?
Not yet. The nerves haven't settled in just yet, but I'm sure as soon as I land, I'm going to have to get straight down to that pub and get copious beers down me, because I'll be absolutely shitting it probably.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't resemble some of the five-a-side Power League games I used to have when I was a teenager, because that's the kind of pitch we're going to be playing on. I've heard some of the Bodø players' dads are going to be linesmen tomorrow for the game, just like Sunday League. But look, the Bodø players are very, very confident in their interviews, and they're being very brash about it's going to be different. It's going to be, it's a different game coming to Bodø. Tottenham's press is not like any average Norwegian side. They're talking the talk, but it's all about walking the walk. It's interesting for them to be so brash. Maybe they're just that confident, but does it come from trying to intimidate Tottenham, trying to kind of win a war of words, or is it a case of they're just that confident? Like, if I was them, I would be quietly confident without giving too much away, but it seems as though they want to put out how confident they are very much.
Yeah, look, when you've got a record like they've got, and some big European teams have gone there and crumbled, really. Look at Lazio. It finished 2-0 on the day, but it could have been a lot more. And look, you've got to give them credit for the home form that they have and the home record that they have, particularly in Europe. I know Karabag went there and won, but not many teams go there and win. Let's be honest. And we're going to have to be on our A game if we want to go through into this final. I know we've got a two-goal lead, but one early goal for Bodø, one goal for Bodø in the first half, and it's backs against the wall job. That's the reality.
Yeah, but we've got to make sure we defend like we did first in the first leg. We defend like we did there. We defend like we did away at Frankfurt. Frankfurt was also an intimidating place to go. It was a place where they have a great home record as well. And we managed to go there and stem the tide and defend properly and get the job done. And we go away and win 1-0. So we need the same mentality there.
It is, but it's not the same kind of game, is it, though? Because Frankfurt, in their plush stadium, big stadium, not exactly. It's hard conditions because of the way the fans are there in Frankfurt. Unbelievable fans, and they make it an intense atmosphere. But this is like going to be something that the players aren't really used to in the Arctic Circle. Very, very cold, 4G pitch. We've already played on a 4G pitch this season, and it didn't go that well for us, did it? Against Tamworth, against much lesser opposition. So there is a few worries for me going into this game, and more worries than maybe I had going into Frankfurt, and I was worried going into that game.
I think I'm less confident. I was less confident against Frankfurt going through than I am tomorrow, I would say. I agree with you. It comes with different challenges, and it comes with different problems, because that pitch is something that a lot of teams have struggled on, and they're obviously very used to it. And I think historically, as you said, Tamworth was definitely a case we struggled on it, albeit tomorrow is going to be a very different team to the one that played against Frankfurt, against Tamworth. Let's be honest, that team against Tamworth was a shocking team, despite the fact that we're playing part-timers. It wasn't a great team out there, so it's going to be a much different team tomorrow. And I remember 10 years ago we played Young Boys longer than that, maybe now 15 years ago we played Young Boys on a plastic pitch, and we very much struggled on that occasion. That was a long time ago. So I understand the concerns, especially with the fact that Bodø have got to this stage due to their home form. That's what's got them to the semi-finals. So I think, the way the tie has gone so far, I think the plan was always keep themselves in the game going into that second leg and then try and blow us away. And I think that goal they scored right at the end basically means it just about went to plan, I would say, for Bodø. For Bodø in that first leg. Maybe, they would have preferred to lose by 1 rather than 2. But the fact they were 3-0 down and the tie was nearly gone and they got that goal back, that will give them so much belief that in the second leg, it's all to play for, because pretty much the same thing happened in the last round. They lost 3-1 to Lazio. I know it was the second leg, but they lost 3-1 away, and they won 2-0 at home, and it could have been a lot more. And a lot of the other legs, it's been like that. So I think when it comes to I can understand why they're confident, but I can understand why they believe that goal has really given them a fighting chance of getting into that final, and the belief will be strong, no doubt about it. And I think that it's not unwarranted, the confidence. But I do also feel like the way they're talking is almost as if they didn't get swept aside in that first leg. And I think that first leg, it was not much of a contest, to be honest. And they were lucky it was only they're coming into it 3-1, but they do have that 3-1 score. Credit to them. But I thought it might have humbled them a bit that first leg, but it doesn't seem to. It seems as though they've come into this game, with full belief that this is going to be their moment. And credit to them. Why not if you're in that position? But it's better to do your talking on the pitch, I would say.
Yeah, and let's see if they can do that. And we know that it's going to be a very different team that we've seen from the first leg, because 2 or 3 of their main players were out in the first leg. They're going to be back for this game. They will be pivotal players for them. And I guess that's what they're leaning on, isn't it? And if they wouldn't have scored that goal in the last 10 minutes of the game, I don't think maybe this fighting talk would be as strong as maybe it is now. But look, they're in a European semi-final. They're here on merit. They fully believe that they can do the job. And if I was them, I'd probably be the exact same. I'd probably have full belief in the team, full belief that bringing any team in this competition to your home stadium with the record that they've got, that they can turn them over. They create chance after chance after chance. But it's important for Spurs not to get sucked into all the talk that's going on outside, not to get sucked into everything this Bodø players are saying, not to get sucked into what the narrative is from the fans and everything like that. Just stay in your game, be calm, be resolute defensively like we've been in Europe in the last couple of rounds. And if we are as resolute as we were in Frankfurt, as we were in the first leg, we'll get the job done. That's the reality. So we're the strongest side going into it. We're the heavy favourites to go through to the final. If we lose this game, it will be on us, because we got sucked in to maybe everything surrounding, all the noise surrounding the tie.
Do you think we're going to have to score tomorrow to win?
Yeah, I do actually. I feel like we're going to concede. I do feel like we're going to concede, and you don't want to be 1-0 down going to the last 10 minutes or last 20 minutes. I feel we will score. And I think 1 goal for us is enough to take us through to the final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It should be enough. Considering, look, whatever people want to say about us defensively, as pointed out many times when we've had Romero and Van de Ven, our defence has not been bad. Yeah. That's just the facts. We've, if you look at it, I was looking at our record with Van de Ven and Romero in the team this season, and I think it's played 14. I think we've won 8 of those games, drawn 2 and lost 4 of those games. So it's not like the most amazing record, but it's obviously positive. But in terms of defensively, I think it's played 14, conceded 14. So it's much better than our defensive record overall, which is, I think, in the Premier League, we've conceded 49 or something, or whatever, maybe 50 even now. So it's that's over a goal a game. And when it's getting closer to 2 goals a game, but when it's Romero and Van de Ven, it's 1 goal a game. And if we keep it at that tomorrow, we win. If we keep it to 1 goal, we're in the final, and that's what we need to do.
It's going to be interesting to see how we kind of take to the pitch and what kind of setup that we're going to have. Obviously, we know the formation, most likely what it's going to be, but are we going to be a bit more reserved and sit back and try hold on to what we've got? Or are we going to do what Ange usually likes to do, maybe not in the European competition, but, his style of play is just be a bit all-out attack and go for it from the start and try get that goal early doors? How do you think Spurs are going to kind of navigate this game?
Yeah, I think we're going to play, well, to be honest, when you look at the first leg, I actually don't think we did do that. I don't think we were gung-ho, and I know we dominated and controlled it and we deservedly won the game, but I don't think it was a case of full pelt, 100 miles an hour, constant pressing, all these different things. Like, if you actually watch a lot of I've seen a bit of the game back, and very much our pressing was like patient. It was picking your moments to press. It wasn't constantly pressing, never like not pressing, never have a moment's rest. It was kind of, the second half, Bodø had 70% possession. Like, we very much controlled that game in a different way in that first leg. And I
think that's right or wrong. I don't know.
Do I think it's right or wrong?
Yeah, the way we managed that first leg.
It was perfect.
Well, it's not perfect because we're only taking a 2-goal lead there.
It should have been, yeah. But they had one shot on target and it was a deflection. I think it was near perfect how we approached that first leg. Absolutely. I think it was, maybe we could have gone for the throw a bit more for sure. Who knows, though, if we did do that, would we have conceded more chances? And maybe it wouldn't have been even a 2-goal lead, but
we might have scored more goals.
Might have scored more goals, but we might have conceded more. Who knows? But I think if you look at how that first leg went, in terms of, first of all, in terms of scoreline was good, but in terms of just how it went in general, in terms of the pattern of the game, I think it was near perfect. I think a bit frustrating that we maybe in the last 10 minutes lost a bit of control and we did concede a goal, but before then it was 3-0 up, could have been more. We didn't concede pretty much a single opportunity, maybe one opportunity the whole game. And we were creating pretty much fairly consistently throughout the game. And especially at 3-0, we had them on the ropes. We had a few moments to make it 4 as well. So I think that was a really good way of approaching it. I think we, if you look at how we were pressing, it wasn't constantly like regardless of the situation, everyone press all the time. There were some moments where we stood off them and waited for our moment and waited for a mistake or waited for a trigger to go and press. And maybe there was evidence there of a adjustment in approach in some senses, which is positive to think about if that is the case. And I think we need to do something similar in Bodø. I think maybe that second half was kind of like a dress rehearsal of how we want to face Bodø going away from home, giving them a bit of possession, waiting for them a bit, and making sure that when we get the ball, we go forward with good. Well, maybe not the first half, but I say maybe not the second half. Sorry, maybe the first half was more how we want to approach it, because the second half maybe we gave them a bit too much possession. But the first half, I thought it was quite even in possession, but I think we did really well when we had the ball and we showed our quality. But we weren't too open defensively, and we had Basuma, Bentancur breaking them up in the middle. And I've said it, Bodø are very, very good with these little quick tiki-taka passes in the middle of the park. And that's how they get the better of you. If you saw the Lazio highlights, they absolutely destroyed them through the middle. They were playing just these little passes on the edge of the box and just getting in there, and they're unbelievable in tight spaces and getting shots off and getting little moments. And that is something that I think we're going to have to do. That's why I think we need Basuma and Bentancur. And the fact, to be honest, the fact that Madison and Bergvall are out kind of is going to force us to do that anyway. Yeah. Because we're not going to have that quality that you probably need to be on the front foot a lot more than we would like to, I would say. We won't have that quality in the middle because we don't have Bergvall or Madison. And those two have been massive parts of our midfield for especially in this Europa League run, but obviously in the second half of the season, I feel.
Look, don't get me wrong, I was happy for the most part of the first leg. I really was, but I just felt like that goal was a sucker punch towards the end. It should have been out of sight by that time came. And, that was due to the way that we did approach the game. But I just felt like as well, like in hindsight, looking at it, I felt like we should have gone for it a bit more. And we could have created a lot more chances than we maybe did. And it was such a big opportunity with the amount of players that they had out, the dominance that we had in the game, for the most part anyway. I just felt like we should have maybe gone for their throats a bit more in the first leg.
Yeah, I would like to. I would like to have killed the game, and we had the game won pretty much. We're 3-0. We could have made it 4. Like, we had it in the time in the palm of our hands. I don't think it was necessarily the approach was the problem. Obviously, that goal came, and it's very frustrating. We conceded that goal, but that was their only shot on target the whole game. Not even chance. It was only shot on target.
They had a decent opening in the first half as well.
Yeah, but that would have been a great goal, great volley if that goes in as well. But that was, you're talking about 2 chances in a semi-final. that usually you look at yesterday, like how many chances there are from both
but
teams.
yesterday
You know what I mean?
you're talking Barcelona against Inter Milan.
I know.
Today you're talking about Tottenham against Bodø, where Bodø have a horrible away record, and on top of that, they had 3 of their most influential players out. Like you've got to put the game beyond all doubt.
Preferably you would, and obviously Tottenham fans who have this anxiety about things going wrong. Obviously, we want the game beyond all doubt, and when you have the opportunity to do it, we should have done it 100%. I completely agree with you, but I don't think it means that the approach of the game was wrong. Like I think it was a really good game. For most of that game, it was we didn't concede any chances, if any. Literally, they had 1 shot on target, and then we were the ones creating most of the chances. And at 3-0, we should have made it. We should have killed them off at that point, but we didn't. That was the problem. But I'm saying up until that point, I don't think the approach was wrong at all. I think it was pretty perfect for the tie and how what we were up against, in my opinion. And I think it's just unfortunate we conceded that goal. And look, we only have ourselves to blame. I'm not saying that is. I was happy about that, or it's okay that we conceded that goal. It was a massive blow. Don't get me wrong, but I think that wasn't to do with the approach by and large. I think it was that one moment that happened. That happens in a game, and there was 3 players around him, and they let him get the shot off in that moment, and it deflects into the back of the net. Like that shouldn't be happening, 100%. But I think in terms of the way we approach the game, we're breaking up their play, making sure they weren't building from the back really progressively, creating chances, not giving many chances away. If we do that away from them, we'll be all right. I think. But I do wonder. Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to go like really pragmatic, or it's just going to be a bit of a more similar to what we did maybe in that first leg.
Yeah, I think it'll be a mistake to go really pragmatic, because I think if you do go really pragmatic like we saw against Liverpool, I know it's not the same quality of side, but if you do that, you kind of like waiting to die a little bit, keep inviting pressure, and I think they will crack at some point. So I want to see us be a bit more on the front foot, be a bit more I think the way we approach the home leg is the right way to approach the away leg. But I feel like the right way to approach the home leg would have been probably to go all-out attack. But look, we're going there with a heavy advantage, 2-goal advantage, so you can't complain too much about it. Bodø, the narrative from Bodø and the way they're thinking is they've got absolutely nothing to lose now. They're 3-1 down. They've got no option but to come at us quite ferociously. And they're going to play a high line. The one big factor here we're going to be missing is James Maddison, because Pedro Porro, we saw Pedro Porro to Maddison in the first leg, and that would have been perfect for us coming into this game, for Maddison to catch out their high line. So we need someone, whether it be a Matisse Tell, whether it be a Richarlison, whether it be a Solanke, probably a Richarlison or a Tell or someone like that can, or a Brennan Johnson, to beat that high line and to get Porro to play those balls over the top, so that they will give them something to think about massively when they press high up the pitch.
Agreed.
That's what we need.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Sonny as well, in these kind of games away from home, he's great for like these high lines and stuff. And unfortunately, he's going to be missing on Thursday, which is, well, I think so anyway, but it's not being confirmed, but it looks like he's going to be missing on Thursday. So there's a few definitely weapons in our armory in this that would have been perfect for this kind of game. But we still got enough weapons that there's not really excuse to go out, in all honesty. We should still be able to hurt them, and I do think Tell's getting better. You got Odebed to come on as well. Maybe Mikey Moore's cameo might convince Andrew he deserves a few minutes here. And I think Decky, I want to see more from him. I think he's going to be so crucial. If you think back to like how when we played like City away, how crucial someone like Decky was, holding the ball up and just allowing players to get up the pitch, and all of a sudden we're on a counter, and all of a sudden we're exploiting them. He hasn't done that enough recently, and I think this game he's going to be so crucial. I think in terms of as well, we don't really have other players in that middle who's going to just hold on to the ball and get it forward and look forward, look for passes, and look for ways to break down Bodø. When we've got Bentancur and Basuma, they're just going to play it safe. We know what they're going to do. Like, we need Decky to have an unbelievable game tomorrow.
100%. We need him to get up to the speed very quickly, because we haven't seen him at full flight for a long time now. He's come back from his injury. He's got enough games in his legs now. We need to see him have a top performance out in Norway tomorrow night. As well as with the rest of the team, we just need to have a game for the ages. We just can't give them the hope which they seem to have at the moment. We need to shut them down very quickly in the game. We need to control the game. We need to control the possession. But it's going to be very hard to control the possession there with the way they play. Very hard.
Yeah, and we didn't control the possession that second half in the first leg. That was maybe, we probably gave them a bit too much possession. You can see Ange was on the touchline, wasn't he? Getting a bit frustrated that we were kind of stepping off them and giving them a bit too much encouragement, which, you know, was probably a bad thing in that second half, that we probably was too much. But I still think that we have to survive periods where we do give up the ball. I don't see us going there. There'll be periods where we dominate possession, but I think by and large, Bodø are going to be the ones dominating possession, and we have to handle that. And when we've come up against teams who have dominated possession, a lot of the times it hasn't gone well. I know we've had a few times like City that it went well, and there's a few times that it has, but by and large, we come up against good teams away from home who dominate our possession. We're not very resolute. Maybe that's started to switch recently. Frankfurt was quite a good one away from home. They had a lot of possession and we were able to nullify them. So we have to make sure that we're doing that tomorrow.
It's very important as well to guard against complacency, because we saw, in my opinion, there was a bit of complacency that crept in there in the second half from Spurs. You know, in the first half, I think they couldn't believe how maybe easy it was. 2-0 up, cruising, creating chances. You know, we were doing very well there against this Bodø side. And then I thought a bit did creep in there in the second half. And maybe that is what led to Bodø scoring towards the end. And I just hope that, because we've seen it so many times over the course of this season and last season about complacency, Ange has to drill it into them that this tie is nowhere near won yet. And we need to go there. We need to be at the best we've been all season to get into this final, because they've got such a massive opportunity now. Such a massive opportunity to get to a European final in a very winnable game, whether it be against Athletic Club Bilbao or Manchester United. Obviously looking like Manchester United at the moment. So it's time to rewrite the history books. It really is.
And I think in terms of that question, complacency, I do think that goal we did concede, as much as it's annoying, and obviously I'd much rather have not conceded it, don't get me wrong, it's definitely a massive negative we did. Maybe the one thing that will cut that goal going against us will do is make sure we go there tomorrow without thinking the game is won, and go there defending properly and doing it. Because I think when we went to Frankfurt, because we didn't win that game at home, even though the performance gave us confidence to perform like we did away from home, like, because we knew we had to win, but we had to be very careful about it because we were drawing the tie. It was like everyone was on it. Everyone was focused. And I think maybe that goal that we conceded will mean maybe that everyone will just make sure that they can guard against that complacency and guard against that feeling like you can ever just drop your guard and, oh, we're 3-0 up, you know, we have a 3-goal buffer, I can just drop my guard a bit, or I don't have to be completely focused, I don't have to track that man at the back post, all these kind of things. Well, I think maybe that goal will make sure that everyone is doing their job properly. And obviously it shouldn't need that, but knowing this team, we know that they like to let their guard down. We've seen it many, many times. They do get complacent when they think, how many times we've given up leads and these kind of things. So maybe that's the one good thing that can come from that goal being conceded.
Yeah, I do think any goal in the first half, whether it go to Bodø or whether it go to Tottenham, is extremely important in this game. Because I think if we get that first goal before half time, whenever it may be, you know, I think there's the chances and the percentages of us going through increase dramatically. However, if Bodø are winning 1-0 going into that second half, then we're in for a hell of a second half, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. I think either way, you know, cast your mind back to Zagreb. I think it was when we lost 3-0. We were 2-0 up for the first leg. I think going to the last half an hour, it was 0-0, and we ended up losing 3-0. So you never quite know. You always have to kind of, in these games, you know, these European knockouts can change very, very quickly. Momentum's such a powerful thing, you know. You can think the game is won, and then one goal goes in, and all of a sudden the momentum switches. The fans get on there, and all of a sudden it can be 1-2 in 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the game's getting away from you. Like, you know, even cast your mind back to like when Barca play. I know it's different, but like Barca played PSG in that famous comeback. Like, I know that was like 1 in a million, but like, that game was like toing and froing. They looked like they were coming back, Barca, and PSG looked like they killed the game off. And going into stoppage time, they needed 3 goals, Barca. and they got 3 goals in stoppage time because it just goes so quickly.
Just look at any of the Champions League games over the last couple of weeks. The Villa PSG game, the Dortmund Barcelona game, the Inter Barcelona game. Over the course of both legs, you know, it just shows you how quickly ties can change.
Exactly.
And that's why we need to be massively on our guard. We need to put in the most professional performance that we've ever put in. And it needs to be 10 times more professional than what we showed in Frankfurt. This is a semi-final. This is a semi-final to go to Bilbao in a European final, somewhere that we haven't been since 2019. This is our biggest game, guys, since 2019. I'm actually just, you know, the more and more we talk about it, the more nervous I'm getting. I swear, like, this Bodø team are no joke, and everyone outside of Tottenham, you know, all the other Premier League clubs and other Premier League fans that I'm speaking of, oh, Spurs are in the final, you're playing Bodø Glimt of Norway, no Norwegian team have ever been in a semi-final of a European competition, you're going to walk this. I mean, we ain't going to walk it. This is going to be an incredibly difficult time.
Well, all they're doing is they're setting us up for failure. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to give us a full sense of security when we know, we've been following Bodø for a few, well, for this season we've been taking note of them for sure, and especially in the build up to this game and this semi-final, we've been doing a lot of research.
I've said it to you literally even before we got not drawn against them, but before we knew we were playing Bodø. I kept telling you, like, do not discount Bodø. This Bodø team are a very good team.
100%. And this is the kind of game that they'll thrive on when they, especially when they know what they need to do. You know, there's no ambiguity here. They need to go there and they need to do what they've done all season, which is go for the throat, attack the opposition and win the game convincingly. And that's what they've been doing many, many times in Europe this season. And I think maybe, you know, last leg they did that at home. And then in the second leg, there were kind of a bit of ambiguity. Do we hold our lead or do we, you know, attack them a bit? And I think that led to them nearly going out. But I think in this situation, they're 3-1 down. They know what they need to do. There's no kind of ambiguity about what they need to do here. They need to go out there and play their football and do what they've been doing all season. And that is a worrying prospect because when they're on their game, they're a phenomenal footballing side. They play some beautiful stuff. You see some of their highlights.
I know.
It's really beautiful football, intricate, one touch, kind of in tight spaces. They got some, even you look at the goal they scored against us. I know I blame the defenders, and rightly so, but the way the guy turned in such a tight space and got the shot off.
He did the exact same thing against Lazio.
Yeah, he scored a double against Lazio, like 2 similar goals. So this guy clearly has twinkle toes. I think his name's Saltness. Like, they've got some really talented players. I'm surprised, by the way, that maybe some of their players haven't been snapped up a bit more.
I think Bodø, you know, I think they sell players every year and they go on to do great things. So
they've got a good academy.
You know, you got to think about Patrick Berg as well. He didn't play in the first leg, and he's supposed to be the most pivotal player that they've got. So there's a lot of players that we need to watch out for in this Bodø side. But look, scrap all that. We are the bigger team going into this. We're 3-1 up. We've got a good commanding lead. We have to go there with confidence as the fan base as well. We need to. Only 400 of us are going to be there in a small little corner in an 8,000-seater stadium, but we got to make our voices heard there as well. So we got to go there full of confidence. We got to go there and stamp our authority, and we got to go there and do the business. That's just what it comes down to. I don't care about the style of play. I don't care how pretty it is. Just make sure you're in that bloody final come the end of tomorrow. That's all I care about.
100%. And we are 2 games away from the biggest trophy in our lifetime. That's what we got to focus on. That's got to be the goal. And whatever you want to say about the quality of Bodø and the competition, whatever it is, and all these different things, the manager, where the club's at, we've got to stay singularly focused, single-minded on this goal of winning that trophy in Bilbao. That has got to be what everyone's focus is on right now. There's got to be tunnel vision from the squad, the managers and the fans, tunnel vision on that goal. And tomorrow, we just got to get that job done. We just got to get there by hook or by crook. And then we just got to get that trophy over the line in Bilbao. And that would be it could be special. Something special could happen.
Look, it's going to be a special night tomorrow. I can feel it. I can sense it. And as much as I'm very wary and worried of what Bodø can bring, I am also confident that we will do the job and we will go through.
If we go out, let's be honest, it'll be so Spursy. That's reality. It'll be so embarrassing. As much as Bodø are a good team, don't get me wrong, they're capable of being
Tottenham has retired for this season. He's hung up his
in the Europa League.
He's gone. Dr. Tottenham is gone. He's gone. He's nowhere near.
He doesn't have a passport, Dr.
Exactly.
Tottenham. Passport revoked.
He couldn't afford the flights to Norway. That's the reality, Dr. Tottenham. So we're getting the job done, people, tomorrow night. Whether we win the game, lose the game, or draw the game, we're getting the job done. I'm telling you, we're getting the job done.
What do you think?
I ain't coming back from Norway without a spot in the final. That's for sure.
If it goes to penalties, who are you backing?
Tottenham.
Tottenham if it goes to penalties?
Yeah.
The thing is, I kind of feel like if it goes to penalties, I think it's more written for Bodø. I have a feeling that the football gods will be on Bodø's side if it goes to penalties, because I feel like they got through on penalties last round, and they'll feel like if they get to penalties again, I think they'll feel like this is like meant to be kind of thing. That's what
they
I'm
might
worried
feel
about.
like that, but it won't happen because Spurs are going to go through. Penalties, extra time, in 90 minutes. I'm telling you, Spurs are going through.
I believe so as well.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. Score prediction?
I am going to go... Well, I said 2-1 Bodø yesterday. I am going to go 2-2.
2-2. I'm going to stick with the 2-1 Bodø. I think Bodø win the game. I think they're going to bring it to us. They're going to have a good performance, but I think we're just going to about sneak in there into the final. And I don't care. Look, if you offered me a 2-1 defeat right now, I'm taking it.
Of course.
Any way to get into that final, I'm taking. But look, that is our score predictions. That is our preview for the game.